Well, hey there, everybody. It's Chris from the Rate the Record podcast, and I'm guessing it's that time of the week again, isn't it? That time of the week where I pick 3 songs to listen to, and then you can listen to them as well, and we can tell each other what we think about these songs. Well, I mean, I guess I'll be the first one to do it, and then you just kind of follow suit because this is my video. Anyways, yeah, it's a new music review. Why don't we hop right into it, huh? And you see this empty space right here, that's reserved for things. So first up we have the band Melted Bodies, an experimental metal band out of Los Angeles, California. So as far as I can tell, they're relatively new to the scene. Their first album just dropped last year, back in 2021. They have a new album on the way. It's called The Inevitable Fork Volume 1. What a title. So that's set to drop at the end of November 2022, but so far they have a brand new single out called Liars. So the song picks up like immediately with these like weird sharp tone synthesizers and drums that just kind of like keep pounding on everything until it finally leads into a verse. And leading into that verse, the riffing was really heavy and really fun, a lot of energy there as well. Once the verse actually kicks in, it feels like a happy hardcore style of building up. Like, it's weird, especially if you know what happy hardcore is. I mean, not exactly, I guess, but it did kind of give me that vibe, so that's why I wrote it in my notes. The singer, on the other hand, too, this is weird because it's like this weird mix of Mike Patton and Serge Tankian. I mean, it's something I can't really quite put my finger on, but I mean, I hear the stylings of both of them in this singer, so that's cool, I guess. So the verse eventually bursts into this pre-chorus that does nothing but build more going into the chorus, and the chorus is a cool sounding bit, but it's ultimately kind of anticlimactic. It's like watching one of those burning schoolhouse fireworks, you know, the one where you light the chimney and then like all the sparks start flying and it looks like something really cool is gonna happen, but then it's just like this really lame, tame fire. Yeah, that's what this chorus felt like to me, and the build up to it. The bridge was cool though. It went into a couple different directions and you had like this fast pounding brooding portion of a softer odd symphonic part as well, so that's strange. Overall, this track took a little while to grow on me, but I found it more and more endearing the more I would listen to it. Part of me says skip this song, while another part of me says this was actually a really fun kind of song. I'm in this weird pocket dimension about how I feel about the song realistically, but as of recording this, I dig it. So next up on the list, we have the beloved indie rock post-punk darlings Arctic Monkeys. They've returned once again with their brand new studio album. It's a 7th studio album as well, called The Car, and they dropped that back in October. The first single that they brought out from the album is one called I Ain't Quite Where I Think I Am, so we might as well take a look. And for the sake of having more click-through cards in this episode, right above my head, there's a card for the Arctic Monkeys episode that we did a little while ago, so go ahead and watch more Rate the Record content. So there's quite the groovy little jam to get this one started. It's got kind of like a soul feel to it, but I don't really feel like it hits the right marks. I don't want to say it sounds necessarily bad or anything, but it definitely feels a little lacking. It's like they went into this one having a good idea for something, but then they just didn't elaborate on it. Honestly too, the vocals for this track don't really suit the style like at all. Some parts do work better than others, but it's not really enough to aid this track in the slightest. The best thing that this song really does have going for it is like you have these like sultry and breezy strings mixed with like this really cool drum and bass, like individual instruments, not drum and bass, the genre. Regardless, that mix of all of those sounded really good together. The guitar gets kind of grating with that like really tight wow effect. I know it's still part of the style, but I just didn't like the way it sounded here. The song just kind of rides on a couple of very similar sounding ideas until it comes to a very abrupt, lackluster ending. For a song that took after a soul style composition, that's exactly what it lacked. It was lacking soul, heart, life. Overall, this is unfortunately a dud. There were moments that were pleasant, especially like with the reverberated, harmonious backing vocals, but there is so much missing from this song that I feel they released it like by accident. It's one thing if this is a track on the album, but why is this a single? Okay, so last up for my reviews, we have the band Gojira, or Gojira. I don't really know how to pronounce it. I honestly don't know. I'm gonna say Gojira, and they do have a brand new song out right now, a brand new single called Our Time Is Now. The song takes off right away with this like really marching drum beat. You have this like catchy little guitar hook on top of that, while I think there are these like synthy, maybe organ arpeggios, just kind of adding to a very epic sounding atmosphere, kind of going quietly through the background. The verse has a great pacing to it, highly aided by like the 16th note chugging on the guitar and a pattern on the hi-hats as well, so it just makes it's like the illusion of a faster song, even though it's the same pace all the way through, so I do like that kind of illusion, if you will. I do like the vocals in this one, despite the fact that it does feel like there's some weird processing on them, like maybe even some compression, but realistically it still works and it still all fits into what it's supposed to be doing, so I can't really say much about them in that regard. There's a guitar solo in the song too that doesn't go too crazy, and it actually sounds really good, like tonally. It's very pleasing to me. It's not trying to go into like crazy shred mode or anything. It's very reasonable, very digestible, and so I think it works very well for what this song is presenting. Realistically, this is just a track with like really good production going on all over the place on it. The excitement of that very grand and like anthem-like feeling of the entire song does tend to fade towards the end though, and I think that's kind of like the biggest thing it has going for it. It rides a little too consistently on one mode from start to finish. Not that I was expecting this huge grand prog metal styling to suddenly burst in, but I don't know. With this song going in over like, what is it, like 4.5 minutes, I don't know, it lost its luster maybe halfway, a little more than that, I guess, through the song. The verses and choruses kind of bleed into each other, so I mean, that's maybe why it wore off a little quickly on me. Whereas if they felt a little different from each other, I think I would have gotten a lot more out of it. I would say check it out though. It's definitely not a terrible track, worth listening to, and hey, you know what? You might like it. I know Gojira has, or Gojira, sorry again, I don't know about the pronunciation. I know they have like a cult following. They got a pretty big fan base, so hey, you know what? It's got to be worth something, right? Check it out. And those are the 3 songs I have for today on the new music review. So hey, thank you very much for checking out this video. Thank you very much for checking out the songs if you did. And if you did indeed listen to them, make sure you let me know what you think of them down in the comments below. I'm always curious to know your opinion on the songs. Savannah is for hers too, so by all means go check hers out. Let her know, but this video is more relevant because you're watching this right now, so go ahead and let me know what you think of these 3 songs. You can also let me know over on our social medias, over at Rate the Record Podcast, over on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Of course, we usually make posts for these videos, so you can leave them down in the comments for that, or wherever, that's fine. We'll understand what you're probably talking about, I guess. And all of that can be found at ratetherecord.ca. But Rate the Record, yes, what a name, right? That's the name of the podcast. If you didn't know, we do indeed have a podcast, the Rate the Record podcast, if you would believe it or not. And we have a new episode every single Monday. This past Monday, we actually just celebrated the 55th, but it's episode 55. It was the 30th anniversary of Rage Against the Machine's self-titled album, and it was a spooky, scary Halloween episode, if you want to believe that. We dressed up and stuff, so if you want to see that, I suggest you click the link and watch it, and also just listen to the album. It's pretty decent. What did we score it? Who knows? Was it B tier? Probably. I won't tell you. You'll have to go watch. I can say that because we pretty much rate everything a B tier. And if you follow our Instagram, you'll know that I make it a meme all the time. So one more time, thank you very much for hanging out in this video with me, and until we see you again on the next podcast, go listen to some awesome music. Take care, friends.